So hello. It's so good to see you. I am Kristen Eykel and welcome to the Sacred Circle with Kristen Eykel. I am honored and privileged to be sharing this moment with you and asking you to meet and greet my dear friend, Ms. Paula Cole. Now, before I open it up to her, I just want to tell you guys that today our conversation is about living a life of meaning. And I couldn't think of anybody more appropriate to have this conversation with than with Paula. She has made her life rich with meaning. And not only that, she has taken her meaning and literally exposed it to you and the world to see her vulnerability, her passion, her strength, her quest for her own truth and dignity. And Miss Paula is actually now recording her 12th album. And by the time she was 29 years old, she was nominated for 7 Grammys, ladies and gentlemen. She's performed in front of millions of people worldwide and is also one of the most meaningful people in my life. I would like to introduce you to Miss Paula Cole.
Oh my goodness. What a beautiful
Nothing like putting you in the hot seat, huh?
I know. No one does it better than you.
That's what we're here for, baby. Let's just speak the truth. I mean, all of it's true. You really are that person. And so, I mean, and this is the thing. We don't often take a minute to look at all the stuff that we've accomplished, all the stuff that we really have done. And so please accept this because it's true. You have done that and you've given that to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is overwhelming. And when getting older, people talk about the past and your accomplishments, and they use the word still a lot. Like, she still has a voice. She's still got it. She's still on tour. They use that word still a lot. And I'm kind of forced to look at what I've done. And it's true. I'm pleased with it. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for this path. It's not been an easy road being a woman in the music business, for sure. And you definitely have to listen to the small, quiet voice inside to protect yourself, amongst the patriarchy of the music business. And I took a 7.5-year hiatus. That was very, very important. I'm just as proud of that as I am the Grammys. So I'm glad to be here. I'm more whole person, having been on major labels, having had hits, being completely away from the music business, and now kind of being my own independent label, being my own independent artist, and kind of doing it my way intuitively. So that's where I'm happy. I have a good, healthy personal life, thank God. And I'm still here.
Well, I'm glad you're still here because then we still get to be, inspired by what it is that you have to share. And so, the topic today is really about finding a life and creating a life and generating a life worth of meaning. And I think it's sort of a slippery topic because you're like, oh, that's what this is meaningful to me. And like, if I had this house and I had this car and I had that education, I had that access, then this would be meaningful. And yet the fact of the matter is, my cat is meaningful to me. My cat is not that meaningful to you. So we all have different things that are meaningful to us. And there is no one size fits all about what meaning is. And I think oftentimes we've been trained to go for the meaning of the masses rather than the personal, as you said, the small, quiet voice inside that really speaks to what's most meaningful. So just sort of an open-ended question there, which isn't really a question. How does this land for you? When you think about creating a life of meaning, what does that spark in your intuition about that?
It first makes me remember what I used to think was meaning, and having a breakdown with that understanding of what meaning was, which was a young person's sense of meaning, which was the meaning of the masses, which was materialistic, which was money driven. And, also like enduring humble times with my family and wanting to make money as my kind of poor state college father's daughter in New England, in a freezing cold New England house. Like, that person wanted to make money. The woman in the music business wanted to have success. And I was driven for that until it stopped having meaning. And since that is the focus word today, and it was actually precisely at the Grammys, being nominated and so touted and having so much attention on this introvert, that I really started to wonder what it was all for, and realizing that my personal life was actually quite empty, and that I was very lopsided. And therefore my understanding of meaning and purpose was changing. And it's like I needed a death of sorts. I needed a change. And the breakdown started to happen. And I needed to kind of reclaim myself. And I didn't want to belong simply to that persona that was known by the public. I wanted to reclaim her and take time. And it definitely took time. I remember in that nadir, I took 7.5 years off. And that was very important, like I said earlier. And in that nadir of wondering and feeling depressed because I wasn't recycling that childhood dream of being something, being somebody, I encountered a book by this Jungian psychologist by the name of James Hollis. And he actually discusses the word meaning a lot. And so when you told me this was going to be about meaning, it made me think of James Hollis and another psychologist by the name of Viktor E. Frankl. And his
Yeah, of course.
Man's Search for Meaning, and which I've read more recently, because I realized that happiness is not the goal. Happiness is ephemeral. Happiness is transient. It's temporary, and it feels fantastic, and we need it, but it's not everything. There's great learning sometimes in the depths. So I started to reframe my life as being one of meaning. And even though I did have those accomplishments, and that was my meaning at the time, and I've been lucky to follow my instinct and follow my faith, just an inner faith, not any particular religion at all, just a sense of what is right and wrong with my own moral compass. And that led me to public, I don't know, acclaim, I guess, loss of anonymity briefly, freak out, and then kind of rebuilding. So in that, I feel like I'm paying a lot more attention to my body wisdom, my BQ, they call it, right? Like your IQ, your EQ, and your BQ. And I tell that to my students a lot as well. Like, listen to your body. It's old and wise, and our mind tricks us. So I listen to my body. I know that Grammys won't keep me company when I'm an old lady. I'm very much fortunate for my family. And so I prioritize that. Like, I don't live in an industry city. I live at the tip of New England, and I'm close to my family. And I feel there's meaning in that for me. So I guess it all keeps coming back down to honoring my connection to spirit, to the universe, because there's no other way to define it. Small, quiet voice, the instinct. It leads me places. And when I start going down the paths or the doorways of pleasing other people, or people pressuring me to do things, that's unhappiness, or that's not meaning. When I breathe into my body and I see how I feel about things, I can remember what's right for me. But it keeps coming back to that. And I'm so fortunate. I don't want to complain about those 7 Grammy nominations, certainly. I mean, that's amazing. And it's something we can talk about for the rest of my life, and I can be proud of and happy for the rest of my life. And if we unpack that, there's things about that have more meaning to me than the awards themselves, much more. And that was, again, following my instinct. Or the biggest one was producing myself, being a sole female self-producer in the music business at a time when, oh, you're a female artist, let me pair you with this star producer. And they would kind of be your Svengali and end up co-writing and have a lot of points on your album. And you are kind of like behind glass, sonically even, like you don't get your vision straight to tape. And I realized that I needed to stand up for myself to make that happen. And it was difficult. It was difficult, and I had to work with half a budget and patronizing attitudes, and always find deals at tape at half cost, or studio time that was bargained and negotiated. Like, I worked really, really hard to come in under budget on half a budget because I was a young woman, basically. And
And how many women would understand in a completely in their own world how they've had to really work within a budget that was not necessarily fair or right or what they wanted, but it made sense. And what you're talking about is this ability to keep your eye on the bigger goal and not let that other stuff drag you down. And
mm,
that's really also keeping that meaning as the North Star, which is hugely important. We can self-deprecate, we can lose ourselves along the way, we can, as you said, bargain and kind of put ourselves at the mercy of in order to get the bigger picture. But I really love what you just said about that sense of really reclaiming that power for yourself. And okay, so we're not going to do it at this, we'll do it at that, but it's going to get done and I'm going to do it my way.
that's right. That
Powerful.
was the one nomination, if we're unpacking all that Grammy stuff, which got me a lot of attention, because like I was their darling in a sense that year because of all those nominations. And it did help people learn about me, which I'm thankful for. But out of all of them, the one I was most proud of was the best producer nomination, because it was the first time a woman was ever nominated, and it who was just her own woman, not in collaboration with a man, because there had been other female artists who were co-producers with other male producers, but this was the first time that a woman had done it by herself. And I had no idea that was coming at me. I just knew that it had been an incredible and difficult journey. So when they said I was the first woman, I thought like, oh my God, that's why it was so difficult. Oh my God, that's why it was so difficult, because it just hasn't been done enough. So, and still a lone woman, a sole woman has not won. And I keep waiting for that to happen. There have been subsequent nominations of women like Lauryn Hill and Linda Perry has been nominated, but it's still, that glass ceiling has still not been cracked. I think Brandy Carlisle might have been nominated. And the Grammys changed the rules again, where you can't be nominated if you're only producing yourself, which I think is bogus. And it's another last gasp of the patriarchy within the Grammy nominations, because like, oh, that doesn't count. But I think it does count, actually. So
Clearly it counts because you made us see that it does count. And countless other women are, as you said, breaking barriers, whether it's in the music industry or the film and television industry or in the real estate industry or in financial industry or in healthcare or home care. Women are taking up a new voice, and women are really seeing that they can't just play the old game the old way, but literally recreate a new system. And that's what I also find so fascinating and beautiful. But you said something that I really want to circle back to, because I think it's super important, which is that oftentimes before we have to have the breakdown before we can have the breakthrough. And that breakdown causes us to literally reshuffle what is meaningful. Who are we in terms of our voice? Who are we in terms of our authenticity? How have we been playing the old roles that don't serve us anymore? And that breakdown literally creates an opening for us to just leave it all behind, which is frightening and incredibly vulnerable. And yet in that moment of that sort of like standing there naked and empowered, we create something that didn't exist before. So I just wanted to highlight that, because I think you really did that, and you did it, of course, on public display. You had 7 nominations, but then you took 7 years off. And I think there's something very powerful about giving ourselves the permission to break down and break through and start over.
And when I look back, I've seen a few breakdowns slash breakthroughs, and they've all been incredible growth opportunities. Breaking out of an ill-fitting snakeskin, it's time to grow. Whether that was, claiming myself as my own producer, or realizing that my life had too much emptiness in it because I was pursuing my business and my music career all the time, that my personal life was atrophied. That was another breakthrough. I remember in the depths of actually when I was doing my yoga teacher training with you, and that was another breakdown slash breakthrough in realizing I need to leave my record label. I need to just fall. I need to fall. I thought it was so great that I had a record deal, right? You climb Mount Everest and you think you have a record deal, like that wasn't serving me anymore. So I was labelless and kind of homeless and at sea for some years, and that was good. That was good. Or like realizing that I needed to leave a marriage or move across the country to be home, not in a big fancy city, not in an industry city, but near my family. There's so many. I sense another one is coming, even that the kids have all gone off to college, and there's an empty nest here, and I have more time for expression. I'm writing very, very personally again, and I want more time for that. So I feel like things are shifting again, and it's nice to get older because you get better, a little better at living your life as you and understanding your feelings when they come up, hopefully. So I feel that arising again, and that's good. It's exciting and it's nervous, and I know like there's probably going to be some messy moments.
And that's okay for it to be messy, right? Like sometimes, what is that phrase that perfection is the enemy of the good, right? And so we can't just let everything be like, it's got to be so perfect or else it's not good enough. Like sometimes moving ahead, even imperfectly, is better than sitting around and stagnating. And we have, birth is messy, creation is messy, it's up to the elbows and splashed all over us, and that's where we get that rich vitality of moving ahead, moving forward, and joining into something that is bigger than ourselves, that maybe does create a sense of meaning that I don't know, that we couldn't articulate without having to go through it first.
That's right. That's right. It's hard to articulate. And that's the struggle, really, is okay, I can feel something in my body or in my emotions. It's very unclear, but something isn't right, or something is guiding me. And sometimes it's accidental where you're led to, but how wonderful if you follow that. How wonderful. It's actually quite tyrannical when you conceive of a plan for your whole life. Yes, it can lead you, and sometimes it is a spectacular thing when a young person has a sense of what they want to do. And I was fortunate in that I knew I wanted to sing and I knew I wanted to write. I was very fortunate for that. But then, it can be a tyrannical hold on your life, over your life, if you're just, in service to one thing. It's wonderful if you can allow more of your psyche to speak and live and breathe. It's a healthier life. And we change. I have new dreams now. I'm older and I'm in midlife, and I have new dreams. I'm not at the stranglehold of my young woman dreams anymore. It's wonderful.
It's true, leaving room for the growth and leaving room for the evolution and leaving room for the new dreams. And I think that's really the crux of it, is that what was meaningful to us as a child or as a teenager or as a young adult evolves and changes as we bring new influence in, as we bring new people in, as we bring new circumstances in, as our personal awareness of ourselves interacting with the world shifts and changes as well. And so allowing ourselves to create new meaning, what am I here for? Why do I draw breath? Why do I get up in the morning? What is more meaningful to me than my little petty worries and problems and complaints? What's the bigger picture? And those are the questions that I ask myself. Those are the questions that I ask my community. And those are the questions that I really think we have to continually hone and shape and evolve in order for it to be meaningful continuously, because it's going to change.
I love it. I love those questions. And those are the life questions that must be asked continually. And I ask it because also the music for me is just a medium for hopefully the healing that I know it brings me. And that was another aha breakdown / breakthrough moment when I decided I couldn't be a jazz singer. I couldn't sing men's songs that were written by men in the 1950s. I needed to write my own music and to heal my heart by talking about my truths, right? That is the medium is my songwriting or my singing, but the real purpose is healing myself and therefore others, and leaving love, leaving love. Any room you've walked into, hopefully you leave it better. Any year you've walked through, maybe you've left it better a lifetime that you've lived, hopefully you leave the lifetimes around you better. That's the purpose. So what is your medium for doing that? That's clear to me, and it's beautiful. It's like, you know, when it's right. It feels like an explosion or little constellations twinkling around you. You know, when you see that, and when you feel in your body, when you're doing something has purpose and meaning, that is loving to you and loving to others, and healing to you and healing to others. And that's it. That's really the shit.
Oh my God. Round of applause, ladies. Oh my gosh. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. Thank you for saying that. You nailed it. You just nailed it. So I just wanted to sort of highlight something that you had said there, Paula, which is we all have lots of moments where we've done things that we've been less than proud of, where we were pressured, pushed up into a corner, said yes when we really meant no, or any of those other things. We've all had them. And the journey, as I see it, is not that those things didn't happen. It's what we've learned as a result of that journey in order to cause it to happen less in the future. It might happen in a different way, in a different place, with a different circumstance. We're like, gosh, there it is again. But hopefully that's also part of that perspective of allowing ourselves to learn from ourselves, to listen and to acknowledge and honor when we fell down, and also to honor and acknowledge when we got up, because that's really the key. There is no finish line on any of this. I keep reminding myself and all of us who will listen that the finish line is only, at our last breath, and then it's probably not even then too, in my opinion. So we keep having these moments of re-emerging. We keep having these renaissance moments where we keep to birth ourselves, honor ourselves, and find truly what is most meaningful for us. Therefore, we can inspire the tribe, we can inspire the community, and we can reach that hand out to others because we're on a strong footing and able to have the strength to reach out for others. I want to thank each and every one of you for being present. Paula, anything you want to say in closing? Because we are at the end of our time. It goes like that, which means we're going to have to do this many more times. Thank you.
I think just what you said is so key, that they are learning experiences and then we get better. And so when something difficult is happening, if you can say, I'm realizing this is really difficult. My body is telling me this is difficult. This is difficult. What do I have to learn? What do I have to learn? And it takes some of the pain and anguish out of it. And then you learn from it and you become a better you. And then you go on to give even more love in your lifetime.
Thank you, darling. I absolutely adore you, Paula. Thank you so much for taking the time to make this happen and for allowing us to learn by the example out there on the shining stage. You can find Ms. Paula Cole everywhere. It's paulacole.com. Is that what it is?
paulacole.com, and I'm making my 12th album. See, I'm independent now, not major, so I can be really productive. And that's my journey in the music, but I really love talking about our issues together. It's so beautiful. And thank you to Kristen, who's just such a gorgeous North Star for us, and mediator and conversationalist. And I loved meeting you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Goddess. Thank you for everything that you offer to us. And thank you to all of you for being present today. This conversation is going to continue to unfold. We are going to be making more of these programs and offering more opportunities to connect. And of course, you can always connect with me at any time at KristenEykel.com or in any of the social media, just put the name in there. But more importantly, we really want to hear from you. So thank you for your time, for your energy, for your questions. Thank you for all of your teams that have supported you for having this moment be possible. It is finished in beauty. It is finished in beauty. It is finished in beauty. And so it is. So much grace, so much gratitude, so much love and joy. Many blessings, and Sat Nam.